there's the myths around, do we only use 10% of our brain? No, we use all of our brains. But that said, it's interesting, the brain's capacity to keep on learning is certainly there. So I guess that's I think that's, again, good news for all of us, that capacity to keep on learning whatever it might be. So I guess one of the other interesting areas is just how much energy the brain uses. I think that's another one to be aware of, is that our brains are 2% of our body weight, but they use up 20% of our energy. And so, and it's almost as if our brains know that they use this disproportionate amount of energy. So again, it goes back to that point about our brains. If they can, they quite want to be lazy and like habits, but just being aware of that sheer amount of energy that brains use. And I think, just on that point also, one of the neuroscientists I work with reckons we've only got 2 great hours a day in terms of the brain. And he's got a point, probably no one would put it more than 4 great hours. So just being aware of mental energy, how you top it up, not pushing on through, I think, as many of us try and do, get to our desk in the morning, especially, I think, if we're working from home, that important thing about getting outside, getting into nature, having breaks. So the importance of, just... and what kind of decisions are you trying to make at the end of a day when your brain's already quite tired and quite frazzled? There's some other really interesting research actually about blood sugar levels. I think, we think about all sorts of things that affect our decision making, but another really interesting experiment done by Danziger and team, where they looked at over 1,000 decisions that were being made by judges, people coming forward before them for parole. And they could see it vary between about 0 and 70% your chance of getting parole. And initially, they thought it was all to do with circadian rhythm, so time of day. And then they realized, no, it's more frequent than that. It was going up and down much more often than that. And then they realized what was probably connected to was when the judge had last eaten. So if you were before the judge at 9 a.m. in the morning, and the judge has had his or her breakfast, you had about a 70% chance of getting parole. It dropped down to about 11. The judge had a break, had a cup of coffee, had something to eat, went back up to 70%, then dropped down before lunch, and then back up again after lunch. And it's just the suggestion that, it's not to say which decisions are right or wrong, but it's just interesting impact of things like blood sugar levels on our decision making, and the thinking being when our blood sugar levels are low, we are less likely to take risks. So I think there's interesting implications for all of us at work in that sense. If we're interviewing people, if we're doing people's appraisals, whatever it might be, are we being as fair to the person we see at 11 a.m. as perhaps the person we saw at 9 a.m.? So just being aware of these things that might be influencing our decision making without us even being aware of it, I think that is really useful.